and gentlemen, welcome to episode 2 of Squad League podcast with myself and my partner in crime, Hakim, my brother.
What do you say?
I'm easy. You know, they say I'm awesome like a... Okay, no, I can't say that. Well, how did you know what I was going to say?
No, it's fine. It's fine. We've been doing this long enough for me to know.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, we're joined by some beautiful guests and a gentleman there. Beautiful plus that other guy there. But we're talking everything pertaining to the biggest five-a-side tournament in Africa, Squad League Season 2. Now, if you thought Season 1 was amazing with the 100,000 Rand cash prize, you're in for a surprise with Season 2 because this time around, it's R500,000 up for grabs. Now, you're probably wondering, yeah, it's all good and well, Squad League, we see what you guys are doing, but where are the ladies in all of this? And it is my pleasure to introduce Nokwazi and Talia with us, who will be talking to us a little bit more about the involvement of, or what we could do better in terms of involving women in this really great tournament. Jacob, my brother, I don't know what you're doing here, but welcome.
Thank you for having me.
So, I want to start here, posing a question to the ladies. Why are there no women in the Squad League tournament? I think I want to throw this question to Talia first. You know, I've heard something along the lines of you guys were invited to Squad League, but why are we not seeing Team Talia in Squad League?
Team Talia. So, firstly, thank you for having me. You know, when Season 1 kicked off, we were invited to partake in the tournament. But, you know, as I started to ask a little bit more questions, it was more of an equal playing field. And I know in women's sports or women's football, we always talk about that equal playing field. But when you have... You know, Lemii, your size going against me.
Yeah. You know what I mean?
You know?
I
know what David and Goliath, it went a little bit different. But I don't think, the story will end the same. So just for us to have women competing against men, I think, especially as the tournament was kicking off for the first edition, I don't think it would have been advisable. As I said, that physical difference. But in this season, we are looking forward to joining, and I think we'll explore that a little bit more as we get through this episode. But mainly why we didn't join was, to compete against guys. And I think with the stakes being so high, 100K, you would play that first game lighthearted, but, once you start getting closer to the money, there's no time to be a gentleman.
You know what? I wanna touch into that. You mentioned something very interesting, and what goes without saying, a little bit controversial, right? Because we do talk a lot about equal playing fields. We do talk about giving equal opportunities. But you mentioned something that's very realistic, that when it comes to the physicality of the game, in as much as we say it's going to be an equal playing field, it's not really going to be that equal, especially with stakes that high. Do you think it's maybe time for us to start exploring like maybe a female element of the tournament where we can have a female only, part of the tournament as far as Squad League is concerned? Do you think that would kind of like level out the playing field a little bit better?
Most definitely, because if we look at your 11 aside, right, and we just use that comparison, women's football is growing. So much like your fives game, I think with the men, it's moving more towards the professionalization or such tournaments as, Squad League is hosting. And with that, there are women that are currently playing fives. Of course, it's not as prevalent as it is for the guys. But I think the opportunity is there. I think the space is there. And with Squad League coming in and looking to have that female feature, I think it's a space that, has endless opportunities.
Well, sorry, Hakim.
No, I wanted to just like kind of ask based on what you were saying, right? Is like, firstly, what's your background in football? Just to give a little bit of context as far as that's concerned, and then I'll ask my follow-up.
Would it be too conceited if I said I am football?
Hey.
I'm joking.
Hey, man. You say what you gotta say. You say what you gotta say.
Just kidding. But no, I've been in football for a number of years. I won't say how many because that will be giving my age away. But yeah, no, I've been in the space, of course, women's football primarily, but football is football, and it's the world's language, it's the world's sport. So I've been in the game for a good number of years.
Okay, like from a playing perspective.
Playing perspective, administration, operations, everything.
Okay, and because of that, do you kind of have like an idea of the landscape in terms of women's fives and like the teams that exist in women's fives? Because obviously we've got the second season of Squad League, and now that the prize money is more, we've got more teams, we've got a group stage. Do you think, in your opinion, in the future there would be enough competitive women's teams to fill up a knockout kind of rendition of this tournament?
Yeah, like I said to Lemii, women are playing fives, right?
Okay.
But what you will notice in a lot of your leagues that do run in the week or on the weekend is that it's more of mixed teams. So you'll find a team with call it two guys or a guy that's rotating. There are limitations, restrictions, different set of rules, but it's more so to get the women involved, keep them involved, and also have that, call it that intensity factor from the guys. Because like I said, it's not just a chalk and cheese, but the male players do bring a different dynamic to the setup of the females. But nonetheless, like I said, the opportunity is there. I think once a league like Squad League does grow, we will see more women taking a likingness to this. I mean, you have your ex-pros that are in the game. Yes, it's a lot more intense than 11-a-side, but now you're going against IQ because an experienced player knows how to move the ball, knows how to manage that intensity, the speed of the game. So there is potential, like I say, and I think there is potential for a structured more teams, a structured league, more teams, and I think even a tournament setup. Tournament football is most exciting football.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
Nokwazi, I want to rope you in here, right? You play as well, right?
Yeah.
So Janine mentioned, I'm thinking Janine van Veek. Sorry. Talia.
Let me help you. We do play for Janine van Veek.
You see, I knew. I knew. So Talia mentioned something about mixed teams, right? And firstly, I want to know if you agree with like the whole leveling the playing fields part. Do you think it'll only be fair to have women compete against women, or we can throw in a women's team in a male competition? And secondly, like what's the landscape like for you in terms of fives? We know that 11s is growing. It's very much recognized, even though there's a lot of pressure points that need to be attended to. But what is it like with fives for women?
Okay, so first of all, I do agree with Talia because obviously men, they're more physical.
Yeah.
It's not that we can't compete with them. It's just that, when the stakes are too high, like the emotions are there, so like pushing and shoving and things like that. But with the mixed sides, we do play for a mixed team. So like the rules and regulations of that tournament is different to what five squad league has because there's limitations. Guys can't have more than 5 touches on the ball. You can't dribble everyone.
Really?
Yeah, so there's
that's crazy.
Those things you can't tackle from the back and all of those things.
Yeah.
And also going back to the landscape, I think we do have women's five-a-side games and tournaments. It's just that the exposure is not there as much as the men's five-a-side, So yeah, that's what I think.
But now with that being said, right, would it help if we maybe said, okay, cool, maybe we'll have mixed teams in Squad League, obviously limiting the number, not necessarily the number of touches the guys can have, but maybe limiting the number of guys that each team can have in that.
I was gonna say that I was thinking about a format where maybe you've got guy goalkeepers.
Yeah.
And then the
one
infield. There is something like that.
Yeah, there is.
And then the infield players are all women players.
Okay.
And then I think from that perspective, then like 90% of the gameplay is amongst women, and only from like a goalkeeper perspective, just from like I mean, obviously you find in this format goalkeepers coming out.
Yeah.
But I was just thinking but you're saying it exists.
Yeah, it does.
But you know,
Does it help?
it does. It does definitely help. I mean, it also depends at what level you're playing,
Yeah.
right? So, if you are playing at a level where players are vying for certain stakes,
Yeah.
you know, not to to put a certain prize or whatever out there, but when the stakes are higher, generally the football is better,
High.
right?
100%,
So.
yeah.
With having the guys as part of the team, it does help. I mean, I enjoy that. But in light of growing the game, not to say we wouldn't want the men in there, but in order to grow, opportunity needs to be there for
Women,
goalkeepers.
yeah.
for
Yeah, that's
that.
true.
You understand
That's
what
true,
I mean?
that's
So
true.
at the end of the day, to grow it or to grow the female factor, great. You know, but once it starts getting to, like I say, that very competitive level, we want to see women all across the board because, you know, you can't say, oh, for women, but now we
Yeah, you're creating limiting factors.
Sure,
Yeah,
Guys are bringing
yeah.
mixed in now.
Yeah.
So
Well, that's very interesting. I mean, like, fives aside, do you guys see any progress when it comes to like, women's football? Because we did have an article, I mean, not to bring politics into all of this, but there was an article about a year ago or something where Banyana was supposedly mistreated in an out-of-country tournament. Do you see any kind of improvement, or do you think it's a lot of PR that just goes into it when we talk about women's football?
I think there is improvement, but also the PR part of it plays a really huge role when it comes to like advertising the game and growing women's football, because sometimes people put stuff there that are not even, you're not actually at that
Really?
level. So yeah, but most of it, it
Like for example?
I think let me just jump in there.
Yeah.
You know, to call a spade, it is what it is,
Yeah.
right? As a society in South Africa, I think people still want to see men's football, whether it is Banyana playing and, you know, it's these international heroes, so to call it. Our audience would still rather watch NFD games. And that's just what it is, you know. So when we talk about PR, I think we need to look more at the exposure of following women's football, putting it in front of the South African audience so that they can know, you know, these are these particular players, these are what they're doing, because we have guy legends, or let me rather say the male legends of the game, and we can talk, they could have played 30 years ago, but they're still a legend. You see a Banyana player in her prime walk in and nobody knows who she is.
Yeah.
That is actually
You know,
so true.
So you mean like from a media and broadcast
Yes.
perspective, you
Yeah.
feel like that is what's going to bridge the
Yeah.
gap? I 100% agree with that, because like when you talk about, this might be controversial, but when you talk about like equal pay, a lot of the payment structures are built around licensing.
Sure.
And licensing has got to do with broadcast and media.
Of course.
And the fact that the male games are sponsored by Betway, Casalaga, all of these brands, and those people are signing deals with those leagues, and then on a lower level, like with players individually, then that becomes what's in the forefront. So if that same or similar investment is made in the women's game, people will be more privy to the fact that, okay, these are women players. We're more aware of them. These are the like women's teams. So I think like that's got to be a conscious
The
thing.
media representation.
That's got to be a conscious thing, like from a broadcasting, but I also think from a like administrative on a high level.
No, 100%.
You know what I mean?
100%. Look, I think we've kind of pinpointed where one of the pressure points are, which is broadcasting and media and all of that stuff, right? Because I remember going to a Banyana game in Pretoria. I think it was late last year. That game actually packed out.
Was it a qualifier?
I think it was one of the qualifiers.
Yeah.
against
Olympics.
Nigeria.
Yeah, against Nigeria,
Yes.
yes.
Olympics.
So that the crowd attendance there was actually really great.
Yes.
And it was, I mean, I may be skating on thin ice saying this, but it was on pure merit. I
Sure.
think because of how well Banyana had been playing,
Like up until
AFCON
that
also.
time.
of course.
Yeah.
And AFCON as well, there was more interest in us, the fans, to go watch Banyana. But now it could have really helped if media and broadcast then stepped in to then advertise a lot
Yeah,
more.
riding
to
on the wave.
Exactly. I mean, like, you know, if the brands and, you know, all these big corporates are now buying into licensing for the male teams, that boosts that quite a bit.
Yes.
So what stopped, the question would then be, what stopped the media and broadcasting and brands from buying into when Banyana was actually performing really well? So is there a point of still being overlooked no matter how well you perform, you know, as a female athlete? I mean, it's across the board, I'm sure. It's not just with football. But do you think there's still an element of, yes, we're performing well, yes, we're kind of like, you know, bringing in the attendance ourselves as the female athletes, but these corporates are still not buying into, you know, what we represent? Is that the conversation?
I think. Can I take that?
Go ahead.
So I think with a lot of corporate companies, I think they may be skeptical or scared of sponsoring something they don't know how long it's gonna last, because it's still growing. So
I see.
Like, not a lot of people know about such things. I think they're scared of failing. They don't want to take that leap of faith and hoping that it's going to grow and it's going to benefit them in the long run. So I think like more corporates must just come together and actually sponsor, because Hollywood Bet is doing it so well.
Yeah.
So they also need help. Sasol has been in this for a long time because it's the main sponsor for Banyana. So they've been here trying to get women's football to that level, but obviously they need other corporate company to come together and help them out, you know.
Course.
And just to, sorry, Lemii, before you jump in, you know, just to add to that, Nokwazi is not wrong in saying, you know, sponsors or corporates might be a little bit hesitant because women's football, although it is growing, it's still at its infancy stage. But we look over to the US. USA, the women have equal pay.
Yeah.
Women's football super exceeds men's football. And if you have the blueprint, you can see what this product will look like in a couple of years. If you put the right investment in, you're bound to get your return as a corporate now, if we're speaking in that. But then also something that I think many, and hopefully whoever is watching, you know, this episode will resonate with this. Women's football now has what you call a fluid fan. And what that is that fans that are watching women's sports are more likely to make purchasing decisions based off of brands that are aligned with women's sports.
Yes.
Okay.
So that's, I think, a very interesting factor to look at. Also, women's sports, not just women's football, have a very different fan audience. You know, football is football. Yes, we all love football, but like I say, that fluid fan is present in women's football, and I think that is something that corporates can capitalize on.
Wow. Brother Jacob, I'm sorry, man. I can see through your glasses there. This guy... He's not coming to me, man. You
know, I'm listening and I'm taking everything in, you know, because their insight into the sport is quite impressive.
Yeah.
You know, I have a question though for the women.
Sure.
So I hear you explaining about corporate sponsors and everything else. How do you incentivize people to actually come to the women's football games?
But how do we incentivize people to come to men's games? That would be the next question.
But you see, answering the question is not going to get anywhere, right? With the question. So hence what I'm saying is, as women that play the sport, how do you feel like you can actually incentivize people to come in? Do you think there should be some more fan participation? How do you actually grow people coming to watch you and support you? Because that also leads to the thing.
I think it's caught before the horse, your question. It's like, if you put it out there, it's like a sponsored post.
Right.
If something is visible and is hyper visible and is amplified, then people become more receptive to the thing.
Yeah.
And at the moment, from that perspective, I don't think it's anywhere close to equal.
So now,
because we don't have a reference to see that women's football is advertised and amplified as much as men's football. So we can't actually objectively say that has happened. Like we don't have a reference to be like that has happened, so this is why it's not working.
I mean, true.
We need to try and make that thing a reality first.
Yeah.
Then we can compare, because now it's apples and pears.
To support that, I'll give you an example.
right.
The men, Bafana qualified for AFCON, right?
Yeah.
Right.
Big frenzy. Banyana are currently in camp. They went into camp yesterday. They're going to defend
They're the champions.
AFCON.
Yeah.
What is the media around that? They're going to defend.
I haven't seen a single
Thank
thing.
you. That's my point.
Yeah.
So
Let's talk about current.
Back to Hakim then and Lemii. How many women's football games have you guys actually gone and paid for to go and watch?
I mean, I don't go to that many football games, but I can talk from a viewership perspective. Like, I watch all Banyana games, qualifying and up to the AFCON. But I think this is again, obviously it's a fault on my part, but I also think from the broadcasters, I don't know where to watch like women's South African league football.
100%. I was
as
actually
much
about
as I know where to watch like NFT games and things like this.
Yeah.
So Banyana games are, to me, I'm aware of it. I follow the page on Twitter. I can see when the games are going to happen. I watch those games. And for me, Banyana have been a top side in Africa.
Yeah, 100%.
So as a South African, I support South African teams, first of all. Let's just put that out there. Any South African team. So Banyana being like champions, naturally I'll watch. But at a lower level, I feel like I don't know where to go. Let me be honest.
So to answer my question, you have not paid to go and watch a women's football game?
I mean, like I said earlier,
Paid your TV license, your DSTV.
I paid
So
my
no.
TV.
Small ones.
But I don't think it's your summation is not fair because I don't pay to watch games. It's not like I'm disproportionately watching men's games. I'm just not going. I'm just not going to stadiums.
I think so. So here's where the conversation is going.
And
if
he
I'm
doesn't have to
understanding
pay to go
correctly,
to the stadium.
No, I've got accreditation. I've got accreditation.
So it's different.
So here's the conversation, right?
Yeah.
So when we go watch Bafana, whether it be on TV or at the stadium, we already know who's been selected. We already know who comes from what team. We're already rooting for certain players. So we don't know with Banyana.
Where they're
That's
coming
where
from.
it needs to start.
That's
Like,
the problem.
I need to have a favorite player from club level.
Yes.
To say, okay, I like Mang Mang.
Exactly.
I would love to see them. That's where you start forming an opinion.
Totally.
Now, if we're kept away from that information, because you can't ask people to consume what they don't know.
Yes.
So we don't know where to watch club level female football.
Yeah.
That's why we then coming say, okay, we have to start it from grassroots level. Again, this is where Squad League then comes in, say, okay, let's give a woman a platform on five-a-side football.
So you can learn
then
about
we'll
these
have
players.
a platform for 11s, club level. Then we can then have an opinion and, tweet as crazy as we do about female players as we do about male players. So now we can't then ask the question of, when have you paid to go watch Banyana? We don't know. It's not being advertised to us. You know what I mean? As a consumer, I can't say, I'm going to go watch a Banyana game. We didn't even know that they're in camp right now. But had it been Bafana, we would have known 3 weeks in advance. You know what I mean? We would have even known what boot Relay is wearing. So we need to give, that's where I think the conversation started from a media and broadcast perspective. If there's media and broadcast investment, then we start knowing more about the people we need to support. So if we don't
now
have,
we're watching Bafana and we're not watching my favorite player.
I'm even embarrassed that I didn't even know they went to camp. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And like even then, when it comes to defending the AFCON title, we'll only find out in the business end of the tournament.
100%,
That's when broadcast starts giving us the games and whatnot. Why are we not starting from the friendlies? Why are we not starting from? Because I understand Sundowns has a female team now.
Yeah.
There's tournaments. What tournaments are they playing in? We want to see that.
We need to see it.
We need to see that, So for us to start consuming and supporting, it needs to be made available to us, and that starts with letting us know where to watch it, how to support, and that leads to my next question, right? There was a conversation about having female matches as curtain raisers to male matches, like PSL have a league. And then before you watch your Pirates versus Chiefs, you've got a fixture from the female league. H.
No. But go ahead.
Excuse me.
Just so you know that you educate you know nothing
Thank
about
you.
women's
100%. 100%. So, do you think that would be my question to that would be? Do you think that would be a good idea to have those fixtures as curtain raisers, because you already have an audience that's coming to that stadium?
It's like an opening act at a
100%.
big concert or something.
Or do you feel like it would be kind of undermining yes, the female league?
I think it's twofold. In a sense that, great, yes, you getting your physical fans to see women's football, but then you also now look on the back end of you dealing with two different fraternities, that being PSL as its own football entity, and then we would like to say women's professional leagues, but it's not a professional league. It's a semi-professional league. And what that means is that it is ran by SAFA. So now those are two parties that are way above the women's voices that need to come into agreement to have something of that magnitude. So like I said, it's twofold. Yes, it would be good to introduce, and then hopefully, you know, we have fans still coming to women's football on their own. But at the end of the day, yes, it's football, right? And I think this is what I want to drive home. It's football, but it's for two different audiences. I'm going to be honest.
Yeah.
It's for two different audiences.
Okay.
Because you'll find in the men's game, and no disrespect to male fans, but I'm going drinking with my boys and we're going to watch football. When you look at the fan makeup of a women's football match, you're seeing families.
It's more family
You're
oriented.
seeing young
That's
kids.
correct. Yeah.
You know, you are seeing, you know, some, like you guys said, come to the finals in Pretoria. The baddies are going to be out. Some people are also coming for their own reasons, you know. But like I say, it is two very different audiences. The more the merrier, great. You know, the more people we can bring into the sport, great. But at the end of the day, like I say, it's a market that is untapped, especially economically. We speak about that financial disparity. It's there. It's ripe.
You know,
it's waiting for somebody to pick it.
I wanted to say, after what you just said, I feel like it does undermine it. But you know what they started doing in Europe is that, like, Arsenal women's team will now play their games at the Emirates, and Barcelona also do that with their women's team. So if you've got a season ticket, you won't only watch
access.
And I think that also kind of
100%.
changes the psychology of the fans. So if you have a season ticket, maybe you're prone to watch both games. Maybe you want to watch one, maybe you want to watch one. But I think also having
got a question
the
for that.
games happen in the big stadiums where people go, that's basically like my
I've got a
point.
question for that, and I'm glad you said big stadiums, right? Before we wrap this conversation up, would it be fair then to put those games at big stadiums? Because even if you've got a good attendance, right? Even if you have 10,000 people coming to watch a females match, if you put it in a stadium that's a capacity of 80,000,
90,000.
that looks like it's empty. You know what I mean? So would that in some way be doing it? Wouldn't that in some way be doing a disservice to, you know, the female football kind of fraternity? Because if you then put it in a stadium that accommodates 10,000 people, the psychology of it also changes a little bit, saying, hey, there's a lot of people attending these games, let me get in on the action.
Yeah.
And slowly but surely, because in essence, that's how male attendance was also kind of, that's how it
started,
grew.
like Philly games.
You know what I mean?
Then smaller stadiums.
So do we not then do a disservice to, you know, women's football if we're putting 10,000 fans in a 90,000 capacity
I mean,
stadium?
you raise a good point.
You know?
I don't want to ignore what you're saying. I was kind of thinking of it like to kind of, if we're talking about equality,
Kill two birds with one stone.
treat it the same. Not even the curtain raiser thing. Like, if we're gonna see these teams as equal from an equality perspective, not from a physicality playing style perspective, from like treating them equally. Then the big stadium, because you also find PSL games where the games are not well attended, even in smaller stadiums in less populated parts of the country.
52 fans. we won't mention the football club.
Yeah, you know, we won't mention it. It starts with the S and ends with the undowns, you know. But
Hey, this bugger here.
okay, on a more positive note, back to Squad League, we do have something exciting for the fans, which is an exhibition match for women's fives. Talk me through that. Are you guys going to be involved? Are you guys going to be playing? How excited are you? And what can we expect?
Would you like to kick it off first?
I think we are very excited, and I can promise you guys it's going to be an amazing match. And because of the people we're bringing, we're not going to say much about them, but just know. And we also involved. We're going to be playing.
We need names. We're trying to hide.
Nokwazi, Lemii, Talia Nokwazi.
There's
We
no
did media and broadcasting.
This is what we
This is what we need to do. We can't play small anymore. We need to be like.
But let me just give you a clue. It's going to be legends versus the newbies.
Okay.
So you can.
Okay, there we go.
From the top of your mind, who do you think are the women women's football legends.
Okay.
Oh, wow. We don't know about that, but we will see on the day.
I think it is very exciting. Like Nokwazi has said, we have identified players who are not only going to bring that familiar face and legendary status to the game, but also football. Yeah. We want to see good football being played. And I think what Squad League does very well, and we saw that in season 1, is that they also feature the stories of the teams.
100%.
Yeah.
So, I mean, we've spoke most of this episode on the lack of media representation, the lack of storytelling. And yes, we're not going to sit for hours and hours and deep dive into the female stories or who they are as players. But I think even in that, having a tournament of this magnitude, and it's already in your guys' blueprint, and that I think will be extended to the ladies as well.
For sure.
And I think that is a stepping stone and a starting point to tackling some of the many issues women's football has.
Well done, Squad League.
Well done, Squad League. Look, 18th to 20th July is where you will catch the main event at Tux Arena, I believe, right?
Yes.
So, R500,000
Rembrandt Hall.
Rembrandt Hall. R500,000 up for grabs. You can certainly get your tickets right now, and we're looking forward to seeing Talia Nokwazi take on the pitch, but you guys look dangerous. I just look at your energy and your confidence. I was going to say I was going to be there, but I don't want to embarrass myself. So 18th to 20th July, join us at the Squad League main event. R500,000 up for grabs as we start this journey to also involving women in Squad League and making sure that everybody is included. But that's it from our end. I believe we've got other guests who are joining us.
Yes.
The ones that we need to send SARS on, but you know what? You have to see them for yourselves.
Yeah, these ones need to be audited, but we're going to deal with them decisively.
100%.
Very soon.
Nokwazi, Talia, thank you so much for joining us,
guys.
ladies. And we look forward to seeing you at the main event.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
So, introducing our next guests, the most... I don't know if controversial is the word.
Controversial is correct. Controversial is correct.
No, the name of the team just says everything. Because if we're talking controversy, you can't talk controversy without government.
Easily.
We're introducing government Tiki. I have fit a round of applause. Round of applause. So we've got Ayanda and Billy joining us today. We're in Crane. Easy. So, I always joke with the guys and say these guys are running some sort of syndicate, but the true story behind that is that they're a really stubborn and talented team.
Okay.
Right? And with that being said, the key story here is that they played their first qualifier for the main event.
Yes. Where?
You played at Old Parks, ne?
First one.
First one, yeah.
Bloom.
No. Your first qualifier was at Bloom.
Yes.
The one that you didn't qualify for, which one was that one?
No. Only played one as government Tiki.
Yeah.
We only played one.
Can't what other aliases do you have?
So you know what happened was
Please tell us.
a couple of our guys went to play for FS5.
Oh.
Okay.
And FS5s didn't qualify.
Yeah.
Okay.
So that wasn't us.
Okay.
Yes.
So then government Tiki then decided to go all the way to Bloom. Now let's start there.
We're going to create a new coalition.
Let's start there. Why Bloom? Why did you guys decide, okay, we're not going to go to Old Parks, we're not going to go to Marks Park, we're not going to go to XP, we're going to go to Bloemfontein. Why Bloom?
Okay, why Bloom? So initially we wanted the closest qualifier.
Yeah.
Initially we found out that it's XP. Initially. And then five squad changed. And they were like, okay, it's what? Durban, I think?
Yeah.
Cape Town?
Yeah.
Bloom.
Yeah.
Like, we're going to Bloom. I think it's closest. We want our qualification.
No, but it's not closest because there was Pretoria. There was Pretoria, there was Marks Park.
But Pretoria
was
we want to qualify as soon as possible.
Oh, you want to qualify as soon
You want
as
to qualify
possible.
quickly.
As soon as possible.
Yeah.
Okay.
So that we can prepare for the D-Day.
So you wanted to know, okay, should we are in, and then everything we do after here is planning.
We
don't want to wait another 2
preparation.
weeks,
Yeah.
3 weeks,
Okay.
and we're still qualifying.
No.
Okay, so
It's
but
a very politically correct
it's a very politically
answer.
correct answer.
Yeah.
Ayanda,
Sure.
Lalel, you guys traveled to Bloom, you qualify, but the guys in Bloom weren't happy
Yes, of course.
because they're like, you
Came
know
to
what,
eat their lunch. You
You guys came all the way to Bloom as a Joburg team to come qualify. And I remember at that qualifier, you guys didn't have fans there.
Yeah, nothing.
Everybody was against you guys because they were like, you can't have a Joburg team qualify.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? How difficult was that, Njaya?
So for us, it became a decision we took as a team and said, no, okay, let's go to Bloem. Okay, sure.
Yeah.
We got there, we know no one.
Yeah.
Just you guys there as the hosts. And then when we saw the teams, we saw that this is going to be a difficult one.
Yeah.
And then as the tournament progressed, but we trusted in ourselves, we knew that we might not be the favorite team here, but we think we are the most prepared team.
Yeah.
Because we've been doing this for quite a while. So yeah, in terms of competition, it was very, very difficult. Very, very difficult.
You know what? Talking about preparation, and I remember Arome bringing this up a lot, right? In the qualifiers, a lot of the teams that actually won the qualifiers were the teams that registered online, that had been playing for long, and were there like one of the first teams to arrive. And preparation seemed to favor, or the prepared team seemed to be favored when it comes to the qualifiers.
Yeah.
And it seems like as government Tiki, you guys are the most, like, one of the most prepared teams we've seen in the tournament. But now you're facing guys that you're familiar with, number one, and guys that you're not familiar with. Because we've got guys coming from Namibia, we've got guys coming from Durban, we've got guys, the runner-up from Bloem, which I believe you guys played for the first time at the qualifier. So how does that change your preparation going into the main event?
I mean, we already know all the best teams are going to be there.
Yeah.
We've played with most of them. Cape Town, we know them. Durban, we know them. And then obviously we know each and every one in Joburg.
Yeah.
There's new teams. We're seeing Justified. We're seeing Wildcard.
Yeah.
So obviously...
Earlier, this guy was asking me who's the Wildcard.
He wants any application to the team.
It's part of the preparation.
Yeah,
you know, we need to know
so you guys are strategic. That's your thing.
Yeah.
Hence, to also into blue.
Okay. Yes.
Yeah. So that blue one is going to be a big talking point for a long time.
For a long time.
Yeah.
Because now what you're going to find is guys are going to be like, no, let's just take a drive.
Yeah.
Because things didn't work for us there.
Yeah.
You guys might have started a trend which is going to create like an
gonna,
NBA playoff situation.
Because it
like
happened
Eastern
in Marks Park
Conference,
as
Western
well.
Conference.
It happened at Marks Park as well.
Which?
I think it was called, I forgot the name of the team, but they were from Pietermaritzburg. So they lost the Durban qualifiers, then they came to Marks Park, but lost, unfortunately.
But they gambled.
Can I just say something?
Yeah.
So Jacob from GSW,
Yeah.
he called me before the Bloem qualifier.
Yeah.
He was like, my guy, I want to avoid you guys.
Yeah.
So I want to go to Bloem.
Yeah.
And I was like, no, we are going to Bloem. We're not staying in Pretoria. A couple of teams called us before just to ask where you guys going and stuff. So I think...
So it's serious.
Yeah.
These
People
guys
wanted
are
to qualify.
Okay, this one, we know these ones. We're not
you
going to
don't
go
come
play
there,
these
we're not
ones.
gonna go play that
So we're going to
match.
go to these
There
ones.
was,
Also did it on purpose.
There was even a rumor that Pirate is going to play in Bloem just for the man.
Really?
And then we were like,
Ayanda, what are you doing? He's saying it after episode 1 because obviously we spoke to Pirates in episode 1.
Yeah.
And now we're finding out that there was a rumor. I like how we said there was a rumor.
Yeah.
Yo, so did that rattle you guys, or did you doubt going to Bloem? If it happened that Pirates, it was true that Pirates 5 was going to play.
What were you going to
Bloem,
do?
What were you going to do?
We were going for them.
Really?
Because we've been preparing for Bloem maybe 3 or 4 weeks prior.
Yeah.
So we were like, if they're going, we are going.
Okay.
So, as I said, it's a rumor.
boss.
Yeah.
So that guy was maybe lying to us, maybe wanted
Maybe
to go
akafuna
there.
nina,
Maybe wanted
yeah.
to
Just a little bit of a fear.
Yeah, so they don't go. So
Yes.
that guy was telling them the price going to be. They were going to
Yeah.
go.
I
Did it
didn't,
on
realize,
purpose?
I didn't realize how devious this thing actually became.
It's turned into something very interesting because
This is devious.
the teams know each other,
Yeah.
so they know what's let's
And these guys had WhatsApp groups,
course.
probably. And they're seeing some of these messages fly and they're like,
Yeah.
you know?
So here's another challenge, guys.
Yeah.
Before I want to go into another controversial question with these guys, right?
Okay.
Here's another challenge. So with the qualifiers, you guys were free to kind of like a player would play for this team. If this team doesn't qualify, they go to another one. But now with the main event, you're gonna lock in your team.
Yes.
And
those are the squad league rules.
Those are the squad league rules.
8 players.
Yeah.
5 in, 3 substitutes.
100%. And those 8 that you've registered are the 8 that you have for the rest of the tournament.
Yeah.
Does that change your game now? To say, okay, look, Ketile, if this one is not strong enough, we have to ride it out for the whole tournament. Does that change your preparation going into the main event? Or are you happy with the current squad you've got?
What you've seen in Bloom is what you're getting in 500K.
Yeah.
Yeah, the only thing that can go left is someone getting injured prior to the event.
Oh, I see.
That's the only change we'd make.
I see.
Yeah, and then one more thing I just want to add based on that question. So, as I said before, when we started, Shakes went to play for FS5s.
Yeah.
We had a team meeting after. We were like, no.
Why are
Guys,
you outing your
we're
man?
Look, guys.
It's a petty now.
It's a petty.
You must tell it like you must tell it like
No,
it is.
100%.
Yeah.
I don't agree.
Yeah.
We had a meeting like, no, gents, none of us are allowed to play for other teams going forward. You see, because it's basically us giving out our structure
100%,
or how we want to play. Because
Yeah.
most of the teams now, sorry to say this, but they kind of play the way we do.
Yeah.
I'd say we came up with it.
Yeah.
Maybe Bucks has their own style of play and a couple of teams, but most of
Wait,
them
what
now,
do you mean by that?
You know, can I jump in on there?
Please.
Yeah.
I remember before doing your the interview before the final in Bloom, right? I spoke to one of the guys. I don't remember who exactly. Yeah, I spoke to Ski. Yeah. And I was like, you guys, you play your goalkeeper infield, and I think Billy was the goalkeeper.
Yeah,
I was the goalkeeper.
You guys play your goalkeeper infield, but that exposes their goal
A lot.
a lot. But they're not worried.
Yeah.
You know, and I asked them, like, are you worried that, you know, yes, you've got an extra man infield, but if somebody, if we win the ball and just decide to go for it, you know, you've now conceded a goal. So
Is that the tactic that you're saying everybody's replicating?
is that the tactic that, that's the next question. Is that the tactic that you're talking about?
Yes, that's
Okay.
the one. But one thing I'll say is they won't do it like us.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because we've been doing it maybe for like
We're
5
ready
years.
to risk it
Yeah.
anytime.
Yeah.
We're going.
Guys,
Yeah.
confidence is high.
Hey, it's high,
Let me
dog.
tell you.
Yeah, one thing I know is
Confidence
they
high.
won't do it like us. But one thing I know now is teams like your Turf Boys, they're actually smart with it now. So they have a different way of doing it and it's actually working. But we have our own way. So we are not really stressed about what other teams are doing, what they're copying from us. So it's a thing of we'll just see when the tournament starts.
So now it looks like before Squad League, right? Yes, you guys played fives and there was other tournaments and whatnot. But it seems to me now, and correct me if I'm wrong, that there's a lot more research going into, you know, coming into a tournament like Squad League, as opposed to, okay, let's master how we play and that's how we're going to win. But now there's a lot of, hey, let's kind of like scout them out, you know. Is that kind of like improving your game, and do you think that's a good thing for like the fives world?
It's a very good thing. I mean, you guys mentioned, it seems like it's a Western Conference thing. Yeah, so bringing a Namibian team.
Yeah.
So now it's making this grow.
Yeah.
We appreciate 5 Quad. We're even taking this even more serious. There's more investment. You see a player that wasn't invested asking, with, hey, my dog, when are we training? Then as captains, we get motivated.
Yeah.
I mean, 5 Quad, great job.
So I want to ask another controversial question.
This is the I want to go back because we're dealing with them.
Yeah, we deal with the
It's
government.
ordered
now.
point by point.
Now.
The next point of order.
You guys won Bloom. Qualifiers, 30,000 rand. Oh, Chigi, Pretoria. How? Let's replace Nyasazi. Yeah, we get to Pretoria. I'm like, man, I know this kid.
I know this story.
I know this kid. Yeah. What's the story behind the team that was playing in Pretoria? Is that part of government Tiki? Is that a B team? Or is Tripsia Fahananje? What's the real truth with that team that was playing in Pretoria?
So just to answer that one.
Yeah.
Why you syndicate I know. Because, okay, please go ahead.
People are gonna Google, what's syndicate?
So cream cheese and butter.
Yeah.
Cream cheese and butter. I won't say it's a B team or whatever. Cream cheese and butter is part of government.
Yeah.
So we actually identify that 2 is better than 1.
Okay.
Yeah, bro?
Isn't it? I think it is.
Hey, these oaks.
2 is better than 1.
These oaks.
So it became a casual thing. When we went to Bloem,
Oh,
Yeah.
so this was casual.
yeah, when we went to Bloem,
Yeah.
our chairman,
Yeah.
he was like, no, guys, there's a tournament in Pino. I want to join, but you guys are leaving.
Yeah.
And then Billy and I just texted a couple of the guys that used to play for us and wanted to play for us. We were like,
Yeah.
"Hey, guys, let's make a team. The chairman will fund it. You guys go and play in Boxburg."
Yeah.
First
Nina,
time-
you want the big fish.
Yeah,
you
we
guys are
go
going
into
to
the big fish.
Yeah.
First time of them trying, they won it. They actually beat Flavor in
But
the final.
Man, I'm telling you, this thing that you said about them being audited, it's starting to unravel very clearly. Because now it seems as if you guys just went to PTA just for the cash.
Ish. Yeah, but I mean, okay.
Because you've already
Yeah.
handled part 1.
Yeah.
You're inside.
Yeah.
And I would just be so interested from like a squad league rules perspective.
Yeah.
Had they won that PTA one,
Yeah.
you can't double
No,
qualify.
they won, dog. They won. They won the PCA qualifier.
But not with the same play.
Not with the same
They
players.
won the PCA.
Zero.
So let me tell you
clear for
something
Bloem.
interesting, right? That our big boss Ted said.
Yes.
Right? He said the people create the need for the rules, right? Which I feel like
I like that.
a growing tournament like Squad League.
You need to listen to the people.
There's teething issues.
Yes.
There's, you know what I mean? We hit the ground running. We build a plane as it's flying.
Exactly.
So government Tiki was smart.
They were.
And they were like, you know what? Man, 2 is better than 1. Like
Yes,
you said.
like you said.
bro?
So we were
they-
smart.
Yeah.
Okay.
No, you guys have been strategic.
Yeah.
We've known that from the
Government.
start.
Yeah.
But we're
Yeah.
trying to understand now just the details
Yeah, yeah.
of how
Okay.
this thing planned out. So yes.
Yeah. So now you've got 2 teams that have qualified to the main event. Obviously, the plan is let's get both teams to the final.
But now, even if they don't,
Yeah.
the chances are bigger.
Yeah.
Essentially.
Facts.
Is that basically the thinking behind this? Like the odds are more.
Yeah.
Odds are more.
Yeah.
It's one of the reasons.
Really?
Yes.
One
Yeah.
of the reasons.
So you guys have been very critical. You guys said, okay, not only are we going to do interprovincial qualification,
Yeah.
not only are we going to have, we're going to seed multiple squads,
Yeah.
but also what we're going to do is we're going to find out which teams are going to which qualifier.
Yeah.
And we're going to try and make sure that we get to the one that we need to get to.
100%.
Even if Pirates go to Bloem,
Yeah.
it doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter. Yeah. As long
Because we're sticking to our plan.
Yeah.
Our plan. Yeah.
So now we're at a point where the main event is literally a few weeks away. Do you guys now see players that might be dead weight in the team, or, you know, are you happy with this? Because, I mean, now it's crunch time. It's not 30,000 anymore. It's 500,000. Obviously, you go back to the drawing board and be like, okay, who's our strongest players? Who's not so strong players? How do we work this thing? And who do we register as the final team?
Okay.
How difficult is that process for you guys?
Very easy.
Yo,
These politicized
Very, very
government
easy.
coins.
Let me say this. Ne? So in our team, one thing I like about our team
yeah,
is you can take out a Billy, you can take out a Ski, you can take out me and have 4 more players, but we'll still play the same.
got you.
Because we've identified how we want to play.
Yeah.
Regardless of who we playing, how they play sometimes is we have the same structure.
But he's wearing a Man City jersey.
So I want to Pep Guardiola
see,
thinking.
yeah.
Yeah.
Call him
So
Pep.
we don't change our style of play.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, the 9th player we're adding now. Hey, you guys are gonna be.
Yeah. It's a
So
banger.
you guys have a wild card in your team.
In your
In
team.
our team.
Yeah, that guy.
These oaks,
Nah,
dog.
these guys are crazy.
So I know we've asked this question quite a few times coming up to the qualifiers, right? But it still stands. 500,000 rand. If you win this money, what do you guys do with 500,000?
500,000. First things first. What we always do whenever we win, invest back into the team. That's number 1.
How do you do that? Like what? Like for example, what does invest back into the team mean? Like, do you buy yourselves kits? Do you get boots all around? Like,
Okay, let's say we win 30,000.
yeah.
50% is going to the team. 50% is making each and everyone happy.
Okay.
Yeah.
This guy talks like a politician.
Hey, this guy.
Make everyone
This
happy.
Yeah.
Okay,
We need
sorry.
to partner where we need to partner.
Yeah.
So, what we invest back into the team will take us throughout.
Okay.
Obviously,
100%.
these tournaments want affiliation. We might need a new kit.
Got you.
Someone will need a new boot.
Yeah.
You know we've worked before.
Yeah.
So
Just
these
to
things
get
should
just
come.
add on that one.
Yeah.
So, government Tiki was actually registered as a company recently.
Okay.
So we just want to do more.
CIPC.
Hey, no,
Yeah, more than just play
Yeah.
this sport. Because most of us, in the next 10 years, we'll stop playing this thing. So
Yeah.
we just want to, as Billy was saying, invest more and look for more opportunities of what we can do to grow as human beings after the sport itself, after playing the sport. Yeah.
Okay. And now, do you guys, before we wrap up this conversation, quick question. Do you guys play 11s as well? Or do you focus just on
Okay,
fives?
can I answer that?
Yeah.
So Government Tiki is an institution that produces and tries to produce the best talent ever in any football space. Come fives, come sevens, come 11s. Yeah, we are the current Soweto Discovery defending champion.
Yeah.
Dog, this syndicate runs
In what
deep.
format?
In 11.
This,
11
this
aside.
syndicate
11
runs
aside.
What
deep.
age group?
First team.
Open.
Open. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. I know they.
This syndicate runs deep. Should you? Wouldn't syndicate year 5? Wouldn't syndicate year 7? Couldn't syndicate year 11? I'm afraid this thing is serious.
Yeah, and just to add to what Billy just said,
Yeah.
some of us played the 11-a-side game professional. We have
Yeah.
a couple of players like Mpoma Tebula, Skin
Yeah,
played
yeah.
for Super Sports.
Yeah.
Shakes was at Highlands, you see. So we thought, man, let's not just focus on fives. Let's add 11-a-side. And 11-a-side has been doing quite well. As he said, defending champions of Discovery. We lost in the final. Yemahlobo. I don't know the Yemahlobo games versus Soweto. We lost in the final in December. So everything in J, we just try to expand.
No, this is.
No, this was such a great episode. I feel like there's so many nuggets out of this. More than anything, I really commend you guys on the way that you run this thing like a business.
Yeah.
It's not just like friends playing fives.
Yeah, it's not just a hobby.
Even to the point of just entering tournaments and winning money. I really have to commend you guys. Obviously, good luck for the tournament that is going to be happening between the 18th and the 20th of July. Make sure to get your tickets. But yeah, like really, I'm impressed by these gentlemen and the way that they run this thing.
I won't lie. You know, Squad League is always about the stories behind the teams as well. And this has been an interesting story to follow. You know, obviously you guys went in last season's competition, but seeing you guys already make a name for yourselves just as early as the qualifiers is going to be interesting to watch in the main event. And that's how we wrap up episode 2 of Squad League podcast. Hakim, bro, I don't know. Is it too soon to kind of like say who the favorite is for,
No.
for the main event?
I'm very nervous because if we keep hearing stories like these in each episode, it's going to make it very difficult. Because I feel like each team has something so special and interesting about them. It would be unfair. But I'm definitely very optimistic about the next few episodes and finding out the stories of the other teams. But these guys are a dangerous candidate. That's what I will say. These guys are dangerous. Yeah.
Well, there you have it.
Yeah.
Well, there you have it. 18 to 20 July is where the main event will be happening. And the groups have been confirmed. This will be happening at Tux Arena. Make sure to get your tickets as we take on this journey of Squad League, the biggest five-a-side tournament in Africa.